every day the recordings will be started and these will be uploaded automatically, right? So we'll begin with the day one of our class, and this is regarding the paper one syllabus, as you all can see on the screen, right? Now first unit is teaching aptitude, right? Now here we are going to start with teaching aptitude. The first unit. Yeah. So the first unit of teaching aptitude is completely a theoretical subject wherein you are having, because why this is important to understand the syllabus. Once you know the syllabus, you can understand the questions and the topics. So the first unit here, you need to know what is the meaning of teaching. So meaning has to be very, very clear. Now, along with teaching, you need to know what is the meaning of learning, then what is the meaning of education. So all these some concepts will be there related to teaching that we need to know. Then there are the certain objectives of teaching. Objectives of teaching means why teaching is required. So objectives will always start from to upgrade the knowledge, to give the knowledge, right? So these are certain objectives there you have to know. Then there are three levels of teaching. The three levels of teaching are memory, understanding, and reflective level, right? So the three levels, you need to be very, very clear. This is very important topic, the levels of teaching. Surely there will be one question from this topic. Then in that you have one topic which is called as characteristics and basic requirements of teaching. Now characteristics of teaching means what? Like teaching is an art and profession, right? So that is one characteristic. So in the similar manner, you will be having a lot of characteristics that you have to remember. Then what are the basic requirements of teaching? Like a person need to have the qualification and the art of teaching. There has to be a teacher, there has to be a learner for teaching, right? So that's a basic topic. But in this topic number one, like in teaching aptitude, if I talk about this syllabus portion, right, here the levels of teaching is very, very important topic. Then coming to the next one is learner's characteristics. Like you are learner, I am also the learner. So what are our characteristics? We are all adolescents and we are the adult learners. Adolescent, I hope you know all. So we need to know what is the meaning of adolescent learner and what are the characteristics. So when I'm talking about characteristics, we have to see the academic characteristics, the social characteristics, emotional, and the cognitive. Now when I say word cognitive, cognitive means anything related to your mind, okay? Then comes to individual differences. Now individual differences is a new topic which has been added in this syllabus, not now but 2 years back when CBSE changed the syllabus. Now individual differences means what? No two individuals are similar. You and me, we are not similar. You and your sister, you are not similar. So two individuals, even they are born as twins also, they will be different. So what is the meaning of individual difference and why there are individual differences in people? That is one topic which we have to see. Now that was the second subtopic. Okay. Now in this, again a very basic topic only. Now coming to the next one is factors affecting teaching learning. Factors affecting teaching learning means what? Now I am teaching here in this class to all of the students, but some students may be learning more, some students may be learning less. Okay. So some students do qualify the exam, some students don't qualify in the first attempt. So there are various factors. Now when I say factors affecting teaching, teaching related to, now here, see, when I'm teaching you, it is not only me alone, it is teacher as well as the learner. Learner means the student. So something is related to you, something is related to me. That is affecting my teaching. Like for example, if today I am not well, okay, so then I may not be in a position to teach you well, or my voice may be low. Suppose there is some noise background, or for some reason, suppose my notes are not visible properly, then you may not be able to study or understand me. So what are the factors? मतलब ऐसी कौन सी चीज है जिसके कारण हमारा टीचिंग लर्निंग अफेक्ट होता है? Because of what reasons the teaching learning process is affected? What are the factors related to teacher, Like for example, if I ask you, one factor of the teacher would be say qualification. Okay, then there will be another one called as communication. Suppose if any teacher is not having good communication skills, the teacher's teaching will not be effective. So this is simple simple factors. Factors means the reasons which affect teaching learning process. Then is support material. Support material means the study material or the PowerPoint presentation or something which the teacher is showing. Then is instructional facilities. Then the learning environment. Environment means something which is surrounding you. Like suppose if there is the light is dim at my place, then it will affect our teaching learning. If the light is dim at your place, again it will affect, right? Then coming to the next one is institution. Like even like it matters a lot that whether you are studying in a B school, IIM, IIT, or maybe a normal college or any MBA. So even institution will affect your teaching learning. Then coming to the, this is the third topic. Okay, now this is another one, is the fourth one, which is methods of teaching. Now this topic is again into detail. Now when I say methods, there are two types of methods. One is teacher centered and the other is the learner centered. Teacher centered and the learner centered. Teacher centered means where teacher plays an important role. Learner centered means where a learner plays an important role. So this again we are going to study into detail. Then is what are offline methods and what is online methods. Now in online methods, we need to know what is Swayam. This is again important topic. Then is Swayam Prabha and there is MOOCs. So that way there are many online systems through which we study these days. So that we are going to see in detail. Then coming to the next one, in the teaching only, there is teaching support system. Like the teacher. Now coming to the next one is teaching support system. Like whenever teacher is teaching in the classroom, she takes up some support of some system. Now this support system can be traditional, which is like conventional methods. Then is modern, and another one is ICT based. Now here this topic is very, very important. 100% there will be one question from this topic, that is evaluation types. Now evaluation system, here evaluation, like you are teaching to students and you want to do their assessment. You want to check whether the student has learned or not. That is something in your language, if I say, it is called as examination. Just a moment. So assessment, or you can say the check, that is your, how do you examine the students with the help of evaluation. Now here you need to know what is the meaning of evaluation. Okay, then what are the different types. Now if I talk about the types of evaluation, the main two types of evaluations are, one is formative evaluation and the other is summative evaluation. Okay, form, something which is forming, something which is going on and on and on. Summative, the meaning of this word summative is like something which is summarized, something which is summated at the end. So you have to be very, very clear with the differences, that formative evaluation takes place during the course and summative is at the end of the course. Like simple, you can remember your final exams, your university exams, these are all summative. Okay, and formative means your class test, your unit test, and your oral assignments, etc. will come under formative. We are going to do into detail, but I'm just giving you the gist of it. Then we have choice based credit system, that is CBCS. Now you all must be aware of this CBCS system. CBCS system means what? Earlier we were not having the choices, but nowadays we are having the choice. Like some subjects will be compulsory, and some subjects you will be having a choice. Choice in the sense that you can select your own choice of subject. Then nowadays, we are having choice based system of 10 points. We are having credit point. Nowadays we don't get the percentage in our mark sheet, right? So what happens is, like, if you're doing first year BCom here in Mumbai University, and if you're going abroad for your further studies, then these points will be credited. Credited means added to your education. So that is another one system which we are going to see. That's it in this teaching aptitude. But if I talk on whole, this is the whole syllabus of teaching aptitude. And this subject is more of application based, you can say. They will give you one question, you have to understand it, and you have to answer. But what is more important in this levels of teaching, surely they are going to ask you one question. Then types of evaluation, surely they are going to ask you one question, and remaining will be from these topics. Okay, so I'm not going to tell you the whole syllabus today. I'll just be telling you the teaching aptitude syllabus. Okay, because there is no point of me telling you the whole syllabus in one day itself, right? I hope the syllabus is little bit clear to you people, right? And my screen and everything is visible. I'll just check with one or two students, they are not able to join. Ruchira is there? No. I was visible. I was visible to you people on your screen. Yeah. And the lecture will be completely in English only. Okay. The lecture will be completely in English because we have one student. Otherwise also I teach in English only. I can't teach in Hindi. Uh, there is one student from Chennai who don't understand Hindi. But if you have any problem, if you feel any difficulty, कोई particular topic पे कुछ नहीं समझ में आ रहा है, you can speak in Hindi with me, not a problem. Or else you can ask also in Hindi, not a problem. I will be able to answer. Okay, so Ruchira is there, right? Yeah. Fine. We will now begin with teaching aptitude, and some students have already received the notes in hand. They must be having, so you can open your book also if you want. Otherwise, you can see on the screen. After the lecture, I will be sharing the PDF file also, what I am showing on my screen, so that for till the time you receive the notes, you will be comfortable with this, right? So I'll just begin with teaching aptitude, and the process of teaching. My teaching will be like a very method will be like one line by line I am going to go. Okay, so line by line I am going to teach you from the book only. Okay, now this is the beginning. Yeah, so everybody can see the screen. Now this is the first page of my notes. What is the meaning of teaching aptitude? Now teaching aptitude means what? Aptitude. Aptitude. Like whenever we want to enroll into any courses, or when we want to do MBA, or we want to do a MBBS course, or any of the courses, we appear for some entrance exam. So that entrance exam is nothing but the aptitude exam. Aptitude exam means what? That exam will tell, or it will define, the score of that exam will define that whether I am capable or I have the potential to become a teacher. Teaching aptitude. Aptitude means what? The basic qualities, or you can say the potential. Okay, the potential required to become a successful teacher. So teaching aptitude. What is aptitude? It is nothing but any basic qualities, or you can call it as potential. Now when it is teaching aptitude, it will be for the teacher. But if it is like a managerial post, so if you are going for an MBA course, though the test name of the test is CET exam and all that stuff, so the aptitude will be for a manager. So what is aptitude? It is nothing but the basic qualities required for a person to become a successful teacher. Now, what does include? What does it include? This aptitude includes qualification, intelligence, your attitude, your knowledge, your skills. Now, when I say skill, Now this skill can be your communication skill, your interpersonal skills, your teaching skills, okay, to enter into teaching profession. So aptitude as a whole, just don't click the screenshots, okay? Yeah. Yeah. Aptitude itself includes qualification, your intelligence, attitude, knowledge, and skills. See why I am underlining this, you know, because you also have to underline in your book, because during final revision of your exam, you won't be able to, you know, go through all the pages and all the lines in between. So here, that's the reason you need to underline once you get the notes in your hand. So teaching aptitude. Aptitude means potential. Potential means the basic qualities of a teacher. Now here, aptitude includes all these things. What it includes? Qualification of a person, intelligence of a person, attitude, knowledge, and the skills. Okay. Then it is about evaluating candidates on various bases. Candidates means here the candidates are the teachers. Now coming to teaching. What is teaching? Teaching is purposeful direction and management by learning process. Like whenever I am teaching you, you are teaching somebody. What are you doing? You are giving some direction, and that direction is purposeful. Purposeful means today if I am teaching you, I have a purpose because I want you to qualify your exam, right? So it's a purposeful direction which you give in your learning process. It is a process by providing opportunities for students to produce relatively permanent change. Please remember this line. Teaching means there is a learning. And what are we doing? When I am teaching somebody, I am giving the student some opportunities. And what are these opportunities I am giving for? I am giving them opportunity to produce relatively permanent change. Relatively. Please remember this word, relatively permanent change. It is not permanent. Relatively permanent change. Like for example, if I give you here, when we were studying in the school, we were told the moral stories that honesty is the best policy, trees are our best friends, and there were many more things we learned in school. But is it that do not waste water, always tell truth, never tell lies? So these all things we learned in school. But do we follow this every time in our life? No, we don't follow. If we follow something every time, then that's a permanent change. But relatively permanent, learning is always relatively permanent. Relatively means you don't follow every time the same. You might deviate sometimes. Where you need to tell lies for a good, you will tell lies. So that learning, whichever we have in our life, that is a relatively permanent change. Like we learn making chapati, we learn making cakes, baking cakes. Is it like every time we come up with a very good recipe or a good food item or a good baking? It may not be possible. That's the reason we say learning is relatively permanent change. It is not completely permanent. Every time we don't follow what we have learned in our life. Okay, so it's a relatively permanent change through engagement in experiences. Like teacher will always uh, give us the opportunities. She will engage us in some experiences so that we learn through experiences. Then teaching is a skillful application. Whenever the teacher is teaching something, so what she will do, she will help the students to apply the knowledge through the experience, and some scientific principles are followed. Okay. Then it's a planned activity. Planned activity means what? Like today I had to start with the lecture. I did not start haywire. मुझे पता था clearly कि भाई okay, in the beginning I have to begin with the syllabus, and then I have to show my notes, and I have to use my electronic pad and everything. So this is planned activity. Teaching is not something unplanned. You can make out that the teacher is not prepared. It's not a planned lecture. So teaching is a planned activity, or I would rather say it should be planned activity, in which the learner, teacher, and other variables are organized. Now when I say planned means it is organized. Organized means you people are also ready. We are not ready with the kind of arrangement, but we are ready. Yes, I have a lecture. I have to sit in a peaceful corner. I don't want any disturbance. Your teacher is ready. And other variables. Now here, the other variables could be, yeah, Jyoti, you have to say something. No.
No, ma'am, I just wanted to ask you that can you just give me a rough idea as to when the notes will be delivered to me? At least I have not got the notes.
You will be getting in a day or two. I have dispatched today.
Okay, okay, fine. Thank you, ma'am.
You all will be receiving. Those who have not received, they shall receive in a day or two.
All
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. Sandeepti, I know you have joined for management, but today to begin with, I have paper one class, so you can attend and then we will discuss. Yeah.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
ma'am.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So here it's a planned activity. Planned means something which is organized. Organized at the end of learner, organized at the end of teacher and other variables. Here other variables means your laptop, your pen, your pencil, your sitting arrangement. Then it can be books, it can be your internet or it can be anything. So teaching is a planned activity. You have to remember. See, you don't have to remember the whole story. That means the whole paragraphs you don't have to remember. You just have to understand. If I ask you, is teaching a planned activity or an unplanned? So you need to know that teaching is a planned activity. It's an organized activity. So you have to just underline these words and remember those, and don't remember the whole story or the whole paragraph, because we are writing objective paper, not the subjective one, right? Then coming to the next one is teaching organized in a systematic way. Now, why these things are planned?
Ma'am, you're on mute.
Mute. I can't hear your voice. Ma'am,
Yeah.
my
By mistake, if any, okay. Sometimes by mistake the button gets mute or something. You can simply go on that person's name and click on these three dots. फिर उसको म्यूट करना है तो म्यूट भी हम कर सकते हैं, right? Okay, so the teaching activity, whatever we are doing, it's a planned activity and we are doing it to attain some goals, because we have some goal. Whenever we are learning something, we have a goal to achieve in our life. And the last one here is teaching is an activity that causes the child to learn and acquire the desired knowledge and skills. That means with the help of teaching, the child learns, acquires the knowledge and the skills which are required to live in a society. Okay, so this is the simple meaning of teaching, and this you have to remember. Now when I say effective teaching depends on, effective का मतलब क्या होता है कि effective teaching means the maximum output. When can I say that my teaching is effective? Okay, when can I say that my teaching is good teaching? When I wanted to achieve something and I could achieve that. So effective teaching depends on what? How clearly the students understand what they are expected to learn. Now today, if you have decided that you want to learn table of 9 or table of 19 in the class, or if you have decided that you want to study the Newton's law in the class, you came with that expectation to study that or to understand that, and if you're not able to achieve that, that means something is wrong with the teaching. Teaching means it's not only the teacher, it can be with the student also. So effective teaching depends upon that when we learn something, what we are expected to learn. That I expected that today I will learn Newton's law in the class and I could learn that. So I expected and I learned. So this is effective teaching. How accurately their learning can be measured. If you can measure the learning, okay, measure the learning means today, suppose if I am teaching you 10 pages and out of these 10 pages, I am giving you some 10 questions, right? And you are able to solve out of 10, you are able to solve 8 or 9 or 7 questions correctly. That means my teaching is effective because I could measure your score that you have learned something. Okay, then coming to the next one is features or the characteristics of teaching. Now, please note that again you can have the question from this topic in a positive form as well as in a negative form. Now, positive form, they can ask you which of the following are characteristics of teaching. This is a positive question. Okay, so what they will do, they will give you some statements, say for example A, B, C, D. Okay, this is your question and your options are A, B, C, D, that is all of the above, A and B only, A, B, C only, or they can ask you D only. Okay, so this is the question randomly I'm framing. So this type of question you can expect from this topic. And reverse question, they can ask you in a negative form. In a negative form, how they will ask you, which of the following is not the, instead of positive, they will ask you which of the following is not the characteristics of teaching. Okay, so not the, so you have to be very, very careful when you're reading the question. So that when we will solve the questions, we will see. Okay, so this type of question you can expect from this topic. Now coming to okay, now coming to characteristics, you have to remember that in teaching there are different levels. And what are these three levels? I have already told you. There are three levels of teaching. The three levels of teaching are memory, understanding, and reflective level. The three levels of teaching are memory, understanding, and reflective. There are three levels of teaching. You have to remember very thoroughly. Further, this topic is more into detail. So there are three levels of teaching that you have to remember. So they can ask you which of the following are the levels of teaching, which of the following are not the levels of teaching. Okay, there is a hierarchy. Hierarchy means they are in an ascending order. So the first level is memory, second is understanding, and reflective is the third level. MUR, memory, understanding, reflective. Then coming to teaching takes place in a dynamic environment. Dynamic environment means what? Dynamic, the meaning of dynamic itself means it's a unique environment. Okay, every teacher's environment will be different. So for teaching, I simply cannot teach you anywhere and anytime. So it has to be a proper time has to be there, proper place has to be there, right? Proper arrangement. So it's a dynamic. Dynamic means unique. Teaching is closely related to education, learning, instruction, and training. Okay, so teaching is one thing, but there is something called as education, there is something called as learning, instruction, and training. So they all go hand in hand. They all go hand in hand. Then it is essentially an intellectual activity. Intellectual means mainly it is the activity which is connected with our brain. Teaching is related to our intellectual. Intellectual means with our brain. Teaching is an art as well as a science. Art means what? You also are the teachers. I am also the teacher. Your way of teaching may be different. My way of teaching may be different. So that is the reason teaching is an art. Art means it differs from person to person. It cannot be same with all the persons. And when I say it's a science, science means what? There are certain steps which we need to follow. Suppose if I have to teach in the class, I simply just cannot go and begin with. There is always something called as introduction, then you have to give some examples, then you have to assess. You just can't take the test first and teach later. You always have to teach first, then you have to ask them questions, then you have to take their exam. So it's a science. Science means it follows certain principles. Okay, it follows certain principles, it follows certain steps. That is why we call it that teaching is a science. Then it is a profession. Profession means anybody cannot be a teacher. You need to have a professional degree for it. Okay. So that's the reason we say that teaching is an art, it is a science, and it is a profession. Then it tends towards self-organization. Like self-organization means what? Nobody can teach you how to teach. Once or twice they will teach you. But every time you have to organize yourself when you're teaching in the class. Then is social service. Like whenever we enter into teaching profession, our main motive is not earning money. It is always our motive is providing service to the society. Okay. Then is it includes lengthy period and the study of training. That means whenever we want to become a teacher, we have to do some courses, we have to do our post graduation, we have to do B.Ed, we have to qualify our NET exam, or maybe we have to take some training, right? So it's a lengthy period of study. You just simply cannot go 10th pass and you become a teacher. No, you can't, right? It has a high degree of autonomy. Autonomy means what here? The teacher is having the freedom. Your principal cannot force you that teach this way, write this way. You have the freedom when you're going to the class. Like today I am having the freedom, I can use any color pen, I can use anything on my screen, right? Anything in the sense I have the freedom to teach my way. So autonomy means freedom, or you can call it as independency. Okay. Then comes to it's a continuous process. Like you teaching is a continuous, you have to uh, progress every time you teach. Like every year, every new batch I teach, I come up with some or the other thing new. New in the sense I learn, I keep on learning. So teaching is nothing but a continuous process where the teacher also learns along with her students. Okay. So again, I'm telling you, you don't have to cram these things. You have to just understand. Okay. Keep on reading. That's the only thing which will help you to, qualify this exam. Now coming to the next one is basic teaching models. The mainly two models of teaching are, one is instructor. Instructor means the teacher centered. Okay. And the other is the learner, that is the student centered. Teacher centered. Now if you see the teaching which we are going here taking place, when I am teaching you in the class, my teaching is teacher centered, because here I am playing a major role and I am speaking a lot and lot and lot. But if I am taking you to the garden, okay, and I am giving you the freedom to roam around, ask me the questions, and if there is some playway method used, then it's a learner centered. Teacher centered, learner centered. See, remember this: instructor and teacher, one and the same. Learner and student, one and the same. Instructor, teacher, learner, student. Here, teacher plays an important role. Here, student plays an important role. Here, in the sense, we are going to see into detail. Again, let us see. See, there is no basic model of teaching that goes well for all the situation. I cannot say that this is the best method, this is the best method. The two methods are separately. Okay, the above two methods are separate, but a teacher can combine these methods and she can use them in the class. Now, this is again important topic, instructor centered teaching. Instructor means teacher. Instructor means teacher. Now, what are the features when the teacher is playing an important role? So, what are the teacher centered method ke features? What are the features or what are the important points we need to remember? In teacher centered, the teaching approach is conventional. Conventional means what? Traditional. Traditional means something which is going on from ages. Okay. So it's a traditional method, it's a conventional method or an approach. Instructor controls the material. Now see, please remember, just to understand that when the teacher is playing an important role, the material which the teacher is going to provide is going to be provided by the teacher in the teacher center. But in learner centered, it may happen that I may ask the student that, okay, you write the characteristics of teaching and come bring in the class. That is student centered. In teacher centered, it's a traditional method. Everything is controlled by teacher. That is the material to be learned. The pace of learning. Pace means the time and the space. Everything will be decided by the teacher while presenting the course content to the student. So you have to just understand that in teacher centered, everything is controlled by the teacher. Whether it is material to be presented, whether it is the course content, or it is the pace of learning. Pace of learning means what? The time of learning. Like I have a target that in 1 hour I have to teach these many pages. Okay, that is my pace of learning. But in teachers student centered, it will not happen. Teacher cannot have a fixed set of time period to complete the syllabus. Teacher will wait till the student understands everything. Pace is nothing but the time of learning. Now here time means the duration of learning. Okay, next one is the purpose is to acquire. Now see, please remember, please understand that when the teacher training or the teachers centered method is used, the main purpose of this kind of teaching method, that's a teacher centered, this is used for acquiring and memorizing new knowledge or learn new skills. That means this method, teacher centered method, is used for what purpose? To acquire and memorize. Please remember this word, memorize. Whenever you want the student to memorize something, acquire something. Acquire means I am giving you, you are getting it from me. Memorize something. I want you to memorize something. So that time I will be focusing. Like if you must have seen in schools, teacher will ask the children to, recite the poem behind her. Like she will say one line and the student will say one line. Teacher will say A for apple, student will also say A for apple. Why? Because the teacher's purpose is to let the student memorize the things. So memory here, in case of teacher centered, memory is given more focus. The teacher wants the student to memorize things. She don't want to discover. Discover and memorize are different. Huh? Memorize means something rectify. Whatever is there, understand it in a similar manner. Okay, memorize. Instructor centered teaching can also be called as pedagogical. You have to be very, very clear with this. Pedagogical. Okay, it's a pedagogical approach. See, there is like one thing which is called as pedagogical and the other is called as andragogical. Peda and andra. Adults and children. See, this is very important. It has been asked in exams. See, one is teaching children and the other is teaching to adults. So, teaching to children is different methodology, and teaching, when you teach to adults, you use the different method. So AA, remember like this, adults is andragogy. AA, adults is andragogy, and pedagogy is PC. The doctor which treats the small children is called, what is that doctor called?
Pediatrician.
What is that doctor called?
Pediatric.
Pediatric, right? So you can remember C is children and P is pediatric. So P is pediatric means pedagogy. So you have to be clear. Adult is andragogy or andragogy and P is pediatrician, that is pedagogy for small children. Okay. So please remember, simple question also has come in exam related to this topic. So you have to remember that whenever the teacher is teaching to child focused teaching, when you have the focus, that is when you are teaching to child or children focused learning is pedagogy and adult is andragogy. AA, adult is andragogy. Okay, pedagogy is what? Pedagogy is the art and science of helping kids. Kids means children learn. Okay, only what to remember is two words, pedagogy and children, andragogy and adults. That's it. In pedagogical approach, there is a learner and there is a teacher. Okay, now what the learner is doing here in case of pedagogical approach, learner is dependent on the teacher. Instructor means teacher for all the learning. Means if the teacher is going to teach, then only the student is going to learn. But in adults case, it is not so. Suppose if I am going to teach you 10 pages and 2 pages I am going to give you homework. So you will be in a position after 10 pages of learning, you can study 2 pages on your own also. But the students cannot do. Children cannot learn on their own, right? So learner, in case of pedagogical, learner is dependent on the teacher for all the learning. That means if the teacher is going to teach, the student is going to learn. If the teacher is not going to teach, the student is not going to learn. Yes or no? So this is pedagogical approach, where learner is dependent on teacher for all the learning. Then next one, in this case, when everything is dependent on teacher, that means teacher is responsible also. Yes or no? When I say the learning, that is the learner is dependent on teacher. That means teacher is having a great responsibility. So teacher assumes fully responsible for what is taught in the class and how it is learned. Teacher evaluates the learning process of the student. That means everything is done by the teacher. That you have to remember. All the learning, all the evaluation, all the teaching, everything is done by the teacher. Students put all their focus on the teacher. That means the student will be a listener and the teacher will be the speaker. That means teacher will talk and the student will listen. So whole idea of pedagogical approach is, in case of teacher plays an important role and teacher has the responsibility towards the students to learn. Okay, so teacher plays an important role and students, they are dependent. Students are dependent and the teacher is responsible, okay, for the students learning. Students work alone. Students work alone. They are not given any group project or anything. Okay, they work alone and collaboration is discouraged. That means no group projects are given. Teacher will not allow any group work. Okay, in case of pedagogy, students work alone and collaboration is discouraged because teacher want to control everything. That's the reason she will not give any group work to the students, because when you give the group work to the students, that means student play important role. But here, in case of pedagogy, they want that the teacher should play an important role. Pros and cons. Pros and cons means what are the advantages and what are the disadvantages. Here, classroom will be orderly. Orderly means there will be no noise, there will be no disturbance in the class. See, these are very simple things, but they do ask in exam. What they will give you some questions, and when you solve more and more questions, you will get an idea. Oh, this is how I studied. This is what I studied in the class. So the class will be orderly. Why it will be orderly? Because teacher is taking care of everything. Students are only listening. Teacher is talking. There is a strict control over learning by the teacher. Full control over the class and the activities. Everything is decided by the teacher. Students learn to be independent and make their own decision. That means students will learn to be independent because teacher is going to give them some activities. They will become independent. They won't be dependent later on, and they can take their own decisions also, not to great extent but to some extent. Then is students don't learn to collaborate and communicate. They will learn independent projects, they will do, but they will not collaborate, means they are not going to do any group project. No grouping is allowed in the class. No communication between the students will take place much. It may become boring for the students. Okay, it doesn't allow the students to express themselves. That means because everything teacher is going to do and direct their own learning. Okay, they don't ask much of the questions and they don't direct. That means they don't give any directions to the teacher for their own learning. So these are the certain pros and cons which we need to understand. Then coming to the next one is learner centered teaching. Learner centered. Learner. Learner means student centered. Okay. Now in student centered, as I told you, one is teacher centered, that is pedagogical approach, which is used for teacher plays an important role. Pedagogical approach, it is for the children. Mainly it is here when you want to teach the children, you use pedagogical approach. In case of pedagogical approach, teacher plays an important role. But in case of learner centered, where you are teaching to adults and you are using an approach which is called as andragogy. So if you remember this, automatically you can remember this. So andragogy, pedagogy. Andragogy is used for teaching adults and pedagogy is used for teaching children. In case of this pedagogy, teacher plays an important role. That means everything is controlled by the teacher. And in case of andragogy, adult learning, everything, that is main important role, is played by the learner. Okay. Now learner is mostly self-directed. That means nobody has to push. Now see, you people are sitting in the class. Nobody has forced you to join the classes, attend the classes and study for exam, because you are self-directed. You know you want to achieve something in your life. For the small children, you have to push them. Please do sit, study. Tomorrow you have exam, this, that. But adults, you don't have to direct them. Many a times they are self-directed and they are responsible for their own learning and self-evaluation. Self-evaluation means you are learning today and you will take up some quiz, some test which will help you to evaluate. Evaluate means assess your learning. Okay, so this is totally opposite of teacher-centered learning. There in teacher-centered, you had to direct the student. Direct means give them the direction how to study and how not to study. But in student-centered, the learner knows, because they are adults. Because they are adults, so they are directed. Directed means they know what is to be done in life. They are responsible and they can do the self-evaluation. Students learn by receiving knowledge and interpreting it through discovery. Please remember this. There it was memorize, and here it is discovery. Okay, I give you some experiment and you discover something on your own. You have your own pace of learning. That means own time of learning. Some students may learn in 1 hour, some students may learn in 30 minutes. So teacher will give you a recorded lecture and teacher will tell you that tomorrow you have to express what you learned in the class. Or teacher may give you some audio book and she will tell you that tomorrow in the class you have to just express the ideas or the opinions about that book or review the book. So that is called as discovery. That what did you discover on your own? Okay. Learner centered teaching can also be described as andragogical. Andragogical is the adult approach. So what is to be remembered? It is self-directed. That means they know what is to be done. They are responsible. Here learner plays an important role. Their own learning, they do self-evaluation, they receive the knowledge, interpret means, like today I am telling you something, I am explaining you something, you are interpreting means you are understanding in your way. I may be telling in my way, you may be understanding in your way also. It cannot be like teacher ne aisa bola to you have to follow the same. No, right? Then is there will be always a discovery. That means something new will be discovered by the student and they learn on their own time. Okay. Then is andragogical approaches. It's an adult focused teaching. Andragogy. Now what is andragogy? Only one thing to be remembered. Andragogy is nothing but helping the adults to learn. See, you don't have to remember this. You don't have to remember. Okay, what you have to remember is andragogy is adult learning. That's it. And pedagogy is child-centered learning. Okay. Now instructor facilitates the learning. Facilitates means the teacher will help you. See, today when you have joined the class, I will put in all my best efforts. But apart from this, you also have to put in your efforts. So it helps to facilitate. Facilitate means teacher is going to help you to learn, but she is not making you to learn something. Now today I am repeating adult andragogy. Okay, but I'm not helping you to memorize. No doubt I use a method so that you can memorize in the class itself. That's a different thing. But in the learner centered, teacher will facilitate. Facilitate means she will help the learning process by offering new opportunities, acquire new knowledge, develop new skills. Matlab everything they have to do on their own. One thing you have to remember. But in pedagogy, it was teacher's responsibility. But in case of andragogy, it is the student's responsibility. Students and instructors both share the focus. Now here there is a sharing, but there was nothing called as sharing. And interact equally. See, but there it was like what? What was there? That the student listens and teacher talks. That was pedagogy. But here they interact equally. That means student also listens and speaks, teacher also listens and speaks. Interact equally means both speak and listen. Okay, this is the meaning of this sentence. Group work is encouraged. Now again remember this. In case of teacher centered, group was discouraged. But here group work is encouraged. Students learn to collaborate. Here students collaborate, but there students don't collaborate. There they don't communicate, but here they communicate. Because here student plays an important role, so they do all this. Pros and cons. Students learn to collaborate and communicate through group work. They can direct their own learning and can complete the task independently. Students are more interested in learning activities. Classrooms are often noisy. There the classroom was silent because everything was controlled by teacher. It's a busy class, chaotic, too much of noise, everybody is talking and speaking. Okay. Sometimes group work can become problematic also. Students sometimes may miss the important facts as teacher doesn't deliver instruction, because majority of times students also interact. Teacher will tell, okay, today I am teaching you one topic, tomorrow you have to teach one topic. Teach means present in the class. So when the student is presenting, teacher may not deliver many instructions. So there are some cons also. Okay. So just have an idea that what is teacher centered, what is student centered. Okay. Now this is the distinguish given just to clarify what we studied so far. Teacher centered and learner centered. Here in case of teacher, instructor plays an important role. In case of learner, teacher and student both play an important role. Here focus on language, forms, structures. Instructor knows about the language. That means everything is focused on teacher only. That means teacher will tell you have to do this, you have to speak like this, you have to speak like that. Everything is teacher centered. But in learner centered, focus is on language use in typical situation. That is how students will use the language. This you may not, this you may just, okay. Now here instructor talks and the students listen. So what you remember is this first point, that focus is on instructor. Then is here the student learns the language. That is what are the forms of language, what are the different structures. But here he has learned many forms, but only he has to understand that in which situation he has to speak in which manner. Then here teacher plays an important role. She only talks a lot and student is a passive listener. Instructor models. Models means she will be like an example. Okay. Student interact with instructor and one another. That means both play an important role. Students work alone. Okay. Students work alone means what? No group work or no group activity. Simple meaning is this. No group activity. But here student work in pairs. That means the groups are encouraged. Mainly the groups are encouraged. Instructor monitors and corrects every student utterance. That means any problem, anything is there, teacher will always be there to correct. But here students talk without constant instructor monitoring. Instructor provides feedback. Here she will correct you, but here she will give you feedback. Okay, correction when questions are raised, you can say. But here what you understand, that in teacher center, the teacher will correct the student, but here instead of correcting, she will give the feedback. Okay. Then next one is instructor answers the student question about the language, and students answer each other's question using instructor as an information source. So here again, you have to understand this only, that instructor answers to everything, and here students answer everything. They take the help of instructor. They only raise the question and they only answer everything. Then next one is instructor chooses the topic, that today I have decided that what I have to teach you. You have not told me that you want to learn this. So here teacher will choose the topic, and here sometimes the students will give their own choice of topic, that tomorrow they want to study this. Okay. Instructor evaluates the student learning. Learning is evaluated by teacher, but here it's a self evaluation. Self evaluation means you will take the quiz and some kind of self test. Okay. Classroom is quiet, but here classroom is noisy and busy, or you can say chaotic. Why? Because students are working in a group, they are expressing, teacher is giving the feedback, teacher is passive, right? Very simple topic, but just to understand the differences. Now here see, one thing is given, that teaching is basically causing to learn. That I am teaching you. Why I am teaching you? Because I want you to learn. Okay. Nothing is assumed to be taught unless it is learned by the students. Now today I am teaching you the difference between endagogy and pedagogy. I cannot assume that you have learned something on your own unless and until I don't teach you. Unless and until, or it can be vice versa also. Like I cannot say that I have taught you unless it is learnt by the student. Once you learn that okay, andragogy is adult and pedagogy is children centered, that means I have taught, you have learned. Unless and until learning has not taken place, we may not assume that the teaching has taken place. So if I want to understand that teaching has happened, to begin with the teaching, or if I want that the teaching has happened, the student must have learned. If you have not learned, I cannot assume that I have taught you. Okay. So for the teaching to be effective, learning has to take place. Thus teaching and learning go hand in hand. I am teaching, you are learning. Okay. It goes hand in hand. Only if I speak and if I only tell you this, that, and if you don't learn, my teaching is not effective. Teaching and learning, they go hand in hand. Teacher teaches, learner learns. Teaching is the main tool to educate a person. So this all we know. Okay. I hope you all people are understanding what I'm trying to say. I'm not fast. If I'm fast, slow, or anything, you can just let me know. Okay, because I might assume that everything is going good, but this is how the class is going to go every day. It is most of the times I am only going to speak because there is so much to teach, but anything is there, you can in between ask me, you can stop me and ask me, not a problem. I hope everything is going fine. If anything is you want me to just change or stop, you can say go slow or something, you can just let me know.
Ma'am,
Yes, Ruchi, huh? You Ruchi, yeah,
yeah.
Ruchi.
Ma'am, just wanted to request you one thing, that as you are teaching the topics now, what kind of questions will be asked? If you tell us that also, we'll note down somewhere.
See, there is nothing, Ruchi, you don't need to note down because we are going to
Okay.
solve the questions. So
Okay, ma'am.
that solving of questions is going to help you. And
Okay.
once we will be solving the question, you will be very clear that what kind of questions are coming from the topic, because there are thousands of questions. You can't keep on writing, but I was already telling you that what kind of question is going to come.
Yes,
So you
yes,
just have
yes.
to keep in your mind that yes,
Okay.
this is the, and when you will solve now, automatically you will remember that yes, this was told in the class and all that. So it's a day one. It will take little time, but you will be very thorough, don't worry. Yeah.
Okay. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. Now coming to the next one is again an important topic for your exam, that is the three different levels of teaching. The three different levels of teaching are memory level, understanding level, and the reflective level. You have to be very, very clear with this. Memory level, which is, if I ask you the hierarchy, first comes memory, second comes understanding, and the third comes your reflective level of learning. Okay, you have to be very thorough. There is no escapism. You have to remember this. Memory, understanding, and reflective level. These are the three levels of teaching. And with this names, you have to remember it in a hierarchy. That one is memory, understanding, reflective. Memory, understanding, reflective. Okay. And also you have to remember who has given this level of teaching. There are three teaching levels. Memory is given by Herbert. You can see the name it is given here. Herbert. It's the name of a person. You have to remember this. Memory, Herbert. Understanding is given by Morrison. And the reflective is given by Hunt. Hunt is the name of a person. Okay. Memory, Herbert. Morrison, understanding. Okay. Reflective is given by Hunt. So the three levels are memory, understanding, reflective. Herbert, Morrison, and Hunt. You will not remember in just one day. You have to keep on reading so that you will remember. Now we have to be very, very clear with these topics. This is important for your exam. 100% there will be one question. First, they will ask you which of the following are the levels of teaching, which of the following are not the levels. They will ask you arrange in a hierarchy. Okay, so memory, understanding, reflective. Memory is given by Herbert, understanding is given by Morrison, and reflective is given by Hunt. Okay, so main proponent of memory level is Herbert. So memory, Herbert. It is the initial stage. Initial means it is the first one. Okay, so it is the first stage. Like as when the child goes to school, he learns Johnny Johnny. Okay, he learns Twinkle Twinkle. He don't know the meaning of it. The only idea of teacher telling the poem or student reciting the poem, the only idea of a teacher is what? That the student should do rote memorization. Please remember this. In case of memory level, the teacher's purpose is not to tell the meaning of the poem. Not at all. Teacher's purpose is only to help the student to memorize it. Rote memorization. Facts means like A, B, C, D, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's it. Teacher don't want the student to understand 5 means what, or she just want them to cram or remember or memorize these numbers and bits of information. Whatever information she is giving them, she is just going to tell them that this is how the student has to behave. So the whole idea of memory is memorization. Okay, it's a first stage given by Herbert, and teacher induces. Induces means teacher encourages the student to do rote memorization. Okay. In MLT, that is memory level of teaching, teaching learning process is basically stimulus response. Now please understand this, stimulus response. Now if the small child is going to school, he or she is going to sit on his or her bench for hours and hours and hours. Stimulus means what? I want you to shout. Okay, or I want you to sing. You will not sing, you will not shout. See, singing, shouting is the response. But stimulus means the moment I say Jack and Jill went up the hill, student will also start telling Jack and Jill went up the hill. So teacher is giving the stimulus. Teacher is giving the stimulus. I want you to shout. So what I'll do, I will either prick you, pinch you. So the pinch is stimulus. Your shouting is your response. So in memory level, The teaching learning is like stimulus and response. Unless and until you don't give the stimulus, are you getting my point? Unless and until you don't give the stimulus, student is not going to respond. In case of memory level teaching, because the student is totally dependent on teacher and the teacher is going to give the stimulus. Stimulus means something to begin with, and response is the student is going to give response. You want the student to learn. Student is not going to learn on its own. You have to provide stimulus. Okay, you have to provide stimulus. So stimulus, response. I say one line, you will say one line, or you may say two lines also. So unless and until I will not say anything, you are not going to say anything. So in case of memory level, stimulus is required. That means any communication, any learning takes place with the help of stimulus. Okay, so please remember this, stimulus and response. Okay, it enables the learners to retain. Retain means what? Keep it with you. Retain. Retain means, if I ask you simple meaning of retain means store. You want that student, the teacher wants to, the student should store the information. Retain. Retain means recall. Whenever you want the student should say the poem, he should be in a position to reproduce. I say one line of poem, okay, and the student stores that information, okay, and then he reproduces. Okay, so that is store the information. Retain, whenever required, you should be in a position to tell, you should be in a position to produce the learned material whenever required. Here in memory level, mainly evaluation. Now I want to understand, evaluation means I want to understand whether you remember 4 lines of poem or not. So that is evaluation. And how I'm going to evaluate the student, okay, because I want to understand his memory. So what are you going to take? You are going to take oral test, written test, essay type test also. Okay, next one is good memory. Now when can I say that your memory is good, my memory is not good? What is good and bad memory? Good memory means what? A good memory is rapidity in learning and recalling. Like you can learn faster and you can recall faster. Then is stability of retention. Stability of retention means that you can store the information for a longer time. Am I clear? Stability. That is, it's not like you studied today and you forget after 10 days. No. Stability, retention, ability to bring only desirable contents to the conscious level. Conscious level means what? I want you to remember that there are 3 levels only. So you should remember only that. You should remember desirable contents. You should bring those contents to your conscious level. Okay, because you know whatever remains in our conscious mind, it will always be there only. It doesn't go away from our mind, right? So good memory is the one who can easily recall, who can learn fastly, who can have the retention. Retention means stability to keep that material for a longer time, and you only keep the desirable content. That means whatever is to be remembered, only you should remember that. Don't remember unnecessary things. So that's a good memory. Okay, now coming to the second level of learning, level of teaching is understanding level. Now this understanding level is given by Morrison. Morrison is a name of a person. Huh? Many a times you may get match the following. Okay, memory, understanding and reflective. Memory is Herbert, understanding is Morrison, and reflective is Hunt. So this you have to remember. They can ask you in match the following as well. Now please remember, memory, understanding, reflective. So U is like understanding is what? Memory plus understanding. Like your understanding will take place only when you have memory. Okay, so memory is single, memory is alone. But understanding is like what? Memory plus understanding. And reflective is what? Combination of all the 3. If I want you to reflect, reflect means come up with some discovery, or create some new ideas, do some invention. Okay, that is reflective discovery. So for that you need to have memory, learning, your understanding should be strong, then only you can do reflective teaching. Now understanding is given by Morrison. Now here memory plus insight, as it goes beyond memorizing of facts. As I told you, it is beyond memorizing facts. Now here teacher want the student to learn the poem, that is remember the poem. Apart from that, teacher wants to make the student understand that okay, Johnny, yes papa, eating sugar. So teacher will explain all the meanings, that who is okay, Johnny is a boy, then sugar is this, and twinkle twinkle little star. So she will tell all the meanings also. So it is, understanding is beyond memorizing. Okay, now here the teacher focus is mastery of the subject. Teacher want you to understand completely, gain the mastery over the subject. Okay, generalization, principle and facts, make people understand generalization. Generalization means what? If I am telling that in India, if I am telling that the sun rises from the east, okay, this is one thing I want the student to remember. Once he remembers this, there will be question in his mind, that does the sun rises in east in India only or in all the countries? So when he understands that yes, the sun rises from the east, in India also it rises from the east, in US also it rises from the east. So when he understands that sun rises from the east in all the countries, in the whole planet it rises from the east, that means he is generalizing. Generalizing means he is generalizing that yes, what is applicable in India is applicable in other countries also. Okay, and certain principles which he has to follow, that he has to understand that yes, if you want to do this, these are the steps you need to follow, and the facts as well. So it is beyond memorizing, it is more of understanding. It provides opportunities for the students to develop their intellectual behavior. Please remember, here I want you to develop your intelligence, because this is like, you may feel that this is a silly question, but yes, this is a question which comes in your student's mind in the beginning, that does it rise only in India or it rises in east in all the countries? So this is like intellectual behavior. Teacher want, there she wanted only memory to be developed, but here she wants the student to develop the intellectual behavior, because they need to develop intelligence in them. It provides active role for the assimilation of the facts for both pupil and teacher. Evaluation system mainly includes oral. She will not take much here. Okay, there she will take oral, but here objective type and the essay type test will be used for evaluation. Sometimes they ask this as well. Okay. Now see, dynamic environment. Now as I told you that the teaching takes place in a dynamic environment. Now what is the meaning of dynamic environment? In this dynamic environment means what? Something which is not constant, something which keeps on changing according to time and place. In case of teaching, we are having three variables. Variables means something which keeps on changing. So we have got independent variable, we have got dependent variable, and we have got intervening variable. Variable, the word variable itself means something which varies. Varies means something which keeps on changing, something which is not constant. Other meaning is this. Okay, it is not constant. So one is student in case of teaching, one is student, one is teacher, and one is the teaching method, teaching aids, and the techniques. In case of teaching environment, the student is the dependent variable. The teacher is the independent variable. Why? As I told you earlier only, whether it is pedagogical approach or it is an andragogical approach, the student is dependent on teachers. So the students are assumed to be dependent variable. So you have to remember this, only this, nothing much. Because the students, because see, your learning is dependent on me. Whatever I am going to teach you, you are going to learn that. It's not like you cannot learn without me. But when you are in the class, you are dependent on me. Whatever I am going to teach you, you are going to learn that. So student is a dependent variable. Teacher is an independent variable because she manipulates the behavior of the students. Manipulates means she keeps on bringing some changes in the behavior of the student. Today she will tell you something, tomorrow she will tell you something else. Okay, she wants the student to learn some other thing new every day, so she will manipulate. So teacher is an independent variable because see, my learning has, I am independent but you are dependent. Okay, your teaching, your learning is dependent on me. Okay, so teachers are considered to be independent variable. Then is teaching methods and teaching aids and the motivational techniques, whatever we are using in the class, they are intervening variable. Intervening means something which is within, between dependent and independent. Facilitate, that means something which helps. Something which facilitates means something which helps. Intervening variable, that means my teaching and your learning is dependent. That means it will be affected with the help of methods I am using, with the help of techniques I am using, right? So this is called as intervening variable. So the teacher's teaching is affected because of this. Students' learning is also affected because of this. My teaching may become like, suppose if I am using today this electronic writing pad, so it is more helping you more to understand. You are getting some, classroom feeling. Even I am feeling good that yes, I am getting something to write. So this is intervening variable, which is helping you as well as me. Nothing much to remember in this, but just have an idea that each student is a dependent variable, teacher is an independent, and another one is intervening variable. And the last one for the day is your reflective level of teaching, which is the third level of teaching. Now this reflective level is given by Hunt. Hunt is the name of a person. Please remember, it is the highest level. Memory is the first, understanding is second, and reflective is the third. That is the highest level. Okay, and reflective includes all the two. Here it is like 1 plus 2, 1 plus 2 plus 3. That is your memory and understanding is equals to reflective level. I want you to reflect. So how you will reflect? Only when you will have the memory and your understanding. Without memory and understanding, you can't reflect, right? Please remember, this is problem centric. What we understood, memory is memorizing, understanding is understanding, and reflective is problem centric. Problem centric means you are given any practical problem or any problem is given, you are being told to solve that problem. So when you are being told to solve the problem, that is reflective level of teaching. Okay, problem centric approach of teaching, students are assumed to adopt some sort of research approach. You have to do some research. Okay, if not this method, then which method to solve the problem? So please remember, solving the problem is the main idea. Classroom is open, students are independent, learners are motivated, they are active participants, learners play a major role, and teacher occupies secondary role. Okay, this you have to remember. Teacher gives you some case study. Okay, if I give you the example, teacher gives you the case study and you have to solve the problem. So you are being motivated to solve this case, you actively involve yourself into that case, you play a major role and teacher plays a secondary role. Okay, that's the idea of this method. The last one, the aim of this reflective level of teaching is to develop the reflective power of the learner, so that why the teacher wants you to have the reflective, or why she wants you to develop the power, mainly to solve the problems. Teacher want you to develop the reasoning. Okay, reasoning, logic, and imagination. Teacher want you to develop this reasoning. Simply don't follow what I'm telling you. There has to be some logic, there has to be some imagination. Okay, and once you have the problem solving capability, you can lead a successful and a happy life. In reflective level of teaching, what are the different methods you use for evaluation? Mainly, you will be using the essay type method, essay type test, and also the test which will help you to evaluate the student's attitude, belief, and involvement. Teacher will try to evaluate the student's attitude and their belief and their involvement. Here, teacher is not going to use any MCQs, oral, all these will not be there. Okay, here this is a high level. So teacher will give you one case, you have to elaborate. She will give you one situation and you have to elaborate on that. Okay, so she want to understand your attitude, your beliefs, and your involvement in the learning situation. Okay, so this is all for the day. Being the first day, I would not continue much. Okay, I'll just stop the recording and we'll speak for 5 minutes.